Hi, I'm Rachel Lynn. My channel is all about budgeting and living a better financial life. I'm here to give you tips, tricks, inspiration, and motivation along your financial journey. Today, I am going into my budget, but I'm not really doing a budget update. I am going to reallocate my sinking funds. So I actually recently bought a house. I closed on December 1st. I thought that was the perfect opportunity to actually do Vlogmas as I am setting up and moving in and all of those things that have to do with the purchase of my very first home. So also, as a little background, I have been doing my budgets for a very long time. However, in the summer, some personal things were happening, and I stopped doing my budget. I do not recommend that, especially as a financial channel that is trying to get you on a track in your financial journey as well. However, I was very, very, very familiar with my budget, and I was also making a lot of extra money having a second job at that time. So even though I wasn't doing my budget, other than eating out a lot because I was so busy, I really wasn't spending any money. So I was staying very well under my income for each month, even though I wasn't doing my budget. I have what are called sinking funds. If you are unfamiliar with sinking funds, they are little I have all my sinking funds in one bank account, but you can have them in separate ones if you would like. But they are just little accounts, as you will, for different things that you know are going to come up that you're going to need money for that you might not be able to pay for in 1 month. For instance, coming up very, very soon is Christmas. That comes up once a year. You know it's coming up, but then you never know. It might be Thanksgiving and you realize, oh my gosh, it's time for Christmas and I don't have money to spend on my friends and family that I would want to have. And so instead of having no money, or instead of going into debt, then what you do is you save money throughout the whole year for Christmas so that it doesn't completely blow your budget all at once. What I'm going to do is go into my sinking funds, rearrange some money around, maybe even add some money into my sinking funds, because I haven't been adding money into my sinking funds the last few months either. And with the purchase of a new house, with the loss of my mom earlier this year, there are some things that definitely need to change. And so just like a budget is fluid, your sinking funds should also be fluid. Let's go on into my sinking funds so that you can see exactly what I have, and maybe this might make a little bit more sense if you don't know what about sinking funds that much. Okay, these are my actual sinking funds right here. So this over here, this is my general budget. This is my sinking funds are at the bottom, and then I have some other allocations. So this is groceries. So what I have right now, I have an emergency fund, and this money, I have $1,000. However, that is split up between 3 different bank accounts. So I have one savings account that I keep $500 in. And then I have 2 checking accounts that I use fairly often. So I keep a buffer of $250 each in those 2 accounts. So that totals $1,000 for my emergency fund, just for things that might come up. Now, most of my sinking funds cover most emergencies that might come up for me. I don't usually need to touch my emergency fund, but you never know when something's going to come up. So what I'm actually going to do is start right at the top. And because I am single, I live on my own, other than my really, really cute dog, it's just me. If I am injured, if I lose my job, if something happens, there's not another person to help support me. So I'm not married, I don't have a partner. So that means I'm on my own here, which means that I want more money for an emergency fund. Depending on which financial guru you follow, you may hear that as long as you are in debt, you should only have $1,000 in an emergency fund. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Actually, for a long time, I only had $500 in an emergency fund because I was living with my parents and I had a lot of safety in that. However, over time, I decided to bump that up to $1,000. And now that I actually have a house, I'm not living with my parents, and I am fully responsible for all of the bills, including the mortgage. And I don't really have a safety net to fall on because it's me all by myself and I don't have that protection, I do want more in an emergency fund. Not a whole lot, because yes, I do still have debt. I do still have student loan debt that I am working on. So just in case, I am going to bump up my emergency fund. I think $2,000 is a pretty good emergency fund. That would cover a lot of household emergencies that could come up if you have children, or if you are a single income family, whether you are married or have a partner, maybe one of you stays home and only one of you works. If you are in that situation, I would also recommend having more than just $1,000, even if you are paying debt. I do have homeowners insurance that the seller purchased for me, thanks to my brilliant realtor that I had. I would have to pay at least a deductible if something were to happen to the house. And so I'd have to worry about that. What I'm going to do is bump this up to $2,000. Now, I actually have the money to put in this account right now. So I will go ahead and transfer that money. I just deposited the money into my other savings account. So I now have $1,500 in one savings account and then $250 in both of my main checking accounts that I use regularly, just as a buffer, just in case. In about the last 3 years, I have never had to use that buffer since I started putting that in there. But it makes me feel safe knowing that there is a little bit of a buffer. It's also kind of nice to not just have that buffer, but also only see $1,500. Even now, like before, it was I see $500 as my emergency fund. I didn't see it as $1,000. Now I see $1,500 in that account, and I don't see it as $2,000. I see it as $1,500. I don't have that much, even though I really do have that much. It's a way to fool myself into thinking that I have less money than I really do, so that keep calm, try to keep the costs down low even when there's an emergency. Next up is Progressive. This is my car insurance. My home insurance is paid through my mortgage, and then I don't have to worry about that. So I do actually have Progressive car insurance, and I got their home insurance, which actually will save me on my car insurance. I'm not entirely sure what that payment will be, and like I said, these sinking funds have not been touched or rearranged since at least June or July of this past year. I don't know how much is in there. I do know that I did pay my car insurance when it was due. I just paid it from the money that I had in my bank account. And I do know that it will also come due in February, I believe. So my, I say fully funded is $450. That is above and beyond what my usual 6-month bill is. I save quite a bit of money by paying 6 months at a time. If you don't save any money by paying ahead, there's no sense in doing that, and then you just put that in your regular bills. But because I actually save, I think it's like $80 or more by paying 6 months at a time, then yeah, I'm going to take that deal. But I have to have that money in there. It has to be ready every 6 months. And so that's what the sinking fund is for. Fully funded is $450. It has to be ready to go by February 1st. So I think this means I would have, $425 if I leave this alone at the end of December. And then next month, I'll put in another $75. I'll have more than what I need. So I'm actually going to leave this sinking fund as it is. I know that it's going to be less than what it was before, and I can't remember exactly how much it was, but it was less than $450, and it'll be less than that come February. Hopefully, cross my fingers. I'm just going to leave that as it is, and then come February, I can readjust that as I make that payment, and if I have way too much money in there, then I will readjust this when that time comes. For gifts, it is time for Christmas. I am wondering why this has decimal places and the rest of my money, most of my money doesn't. I don't know why it has decimal places. So the goal was to have $400 by Christmas in this sinking fund. I have spent some of that, not a whole lot, but I have spent some of that on gifts already for the year. This was the summer, and I haven't added anything in there since. So if I had $275 in there, considering it is December and it is Christmas, I think I would like to bump this up, but I don't plan on spending $400. That is my fully funded amount, and I don't plan on doing that. So I'm actually just going to put $300 in there. Actually, this would be $300 at the start of December. The end of December would be $350. But I will be spending some money out of there. I'm also going to bring down the total amount per month, I think. Let me do a little bit of math here. So I've got my calculator out, and let's say I think that $300, I could actually get away with spending $300 on Christmas. That includes gifts for my students, any coworkers that I might have at school, and my dad and my brother and his girlfriend, my aunt and my uncle. I do have some other extended family, but I don't always send them gifts. Honestly, I really only give them gifts when we see each other at Christmas time. I think that because I have a house now, my family would be very understanding that I would keep my gift giving low. Now, it's not just holidays though, it is also birthdays throughout the year. That's something I always forget. I think that's what I did last year. It was like, well, $300 for Christmas and then like $100 throughout the year for other gifts for birthdays and such. For right now, I'm going to keep it at $300 that I would want to have by Christmas. So, and I'm not going to worry about birthdays right now. I will figure that out once I actually have a birthday. I'm going to divide that by 12, and that is $25. So that is how much money I should be contributing to my sinking fund for gifts if I want to have $300 for Christmas by then. As far as other gifts, I'll figure it out when I get there. I do have other jobs throughout the year. I do have other income that comes in that's not part of my regular budget. Maybe I can add something then. I have a miscellaneous fund for $100. This is for various things that come up throughout the year that they don't all come due at once. So I have to pay dues to the union that I belong to work at Churchill Downs in Keeneland. And I also take my dog to the vet. I also have to pay for a $50 license in order to work at Churchill Downs and Keeneland every year. But none of these things come due all at the same time. So it's like that $100 is there to cover these things, and like none of them are $100. Like they're all around $50 anyway. So I keep this at $100 and then just like put money back in there if I need it. So it's just kind of like an extra little $100 so that these little things, these little $50 gnats that come up throughout the year don't like, oh my gosh, now I have $50 less and I have to figure out if it's going to come from spending or groceries or, something along those lines. So that's just in there for that. So I am going to leave that alone, leave it like it is. Most of the time I don't need to use it because I am able to find the money in my budget to pay for those things. But I like to have that money there just for safety. You'll also notice that I have placed this on the left-hand side. That means that this sinking fund is fully funded. So I have this row over here that tells me how much should be in that fund to be fully funded. And then when it is fully funded, I move it to the left and then I no longer add money to it monthly. My fully funded amount for holidays is now $300. Let's move on to car repairs and replacement. So just in case something happens to my car and I can replace it, or well, not necessarily replace it. The fully funded amount would be $5,000, but it's mostly for repairs because I don't plan on replacing my car until it is irreparable. I have not added anything to this since like June. I am going to go ahead and start at $400 in the month of December, add $25. Now I should have $425 at the end of December. And this money gets added like at the beginning of the month too. So even though it says starting with $400, the money gets added right away at the beginning of the month with my very first paycheck that I get at the beginning of the month. So technically right now I do have, once I move the money around actually in the bank account, I will have $425 in that bank account. I have a clothing fund so that I can buy new clothes when I need it. I have bought a few things this past summer. Most of that just came out of my paycheck and didn't come from my sinking funds. So I'm just going to kind of like restart here. I'm just going to give myself $25. And then I think I'll keep that $25 a month for right now. We're going to see where we go down here on the bottom. So my medical fund, if I start out $375, add $25 a month, I now have $400 in that account. I'm actually getting really close to having that full, and I don't really typically use a lot of stuff. That's really just there just in case. It's also there for like new glasses. So what I'm actually going to do, since it's already at $400, what I'm going to do is take this to $400. I'm sorry. The fully funded amount would be $500. And I'm no longer going to add money to that. And I'm going to move this over to the left to show that it is fully funded. And if I use money from that, then I will have to readjust my sinking funds and add money in there to make up for that. I also have a YouTube sinking fund to purchase things that I might want to help improve the quality of my videos on the channel. I would like to keep this in there. I will probably... I don't know if I'll use more YouTube money to like add to that. I think for right now, I can kind of keep my sinking fund there and just keep adding $25 a month to it. I don't really have a fully funded amount in that. I just kind of felt like there's not really anything that I would purchase that's over $1,000. So if I ever get to the point where I have $1,000 in that fund, then I'll just kind of stop. And then my family time sinking fund. So this was in my sinking funds because my mom was really, really sick. And unfortunately, she passed away this past summer. I had that money there in case we wanted to do something as a family, and I wanted to be able to say yes to spending time with my family, whether that meant a last minute trip somewhere, whether that meant going to visit my mom in a hospital that may have been far away. I very rarely used it, but sometimes I did actually use a sinking fund. I would still like to be able to do things with my family, especially my dad. And so I want to continue to contribute to this so that in the summer, we can take a little trip or do things together. I think I'm just going to keep it at $25 a month and just keep what I've been doing. I'm going to add in a new sinking fund. So just like I have car repairs and replacement, sorry, I had to get that in there. So just like I have car repairs and replacement, I'm going to have a household fund. So this is for household repairs and updates. Okay, so I really honestly do not want to start my household repairs and updates. Oh my goodness, you can't see the whole thing. Let's try an ampersand here. I want to be able to see it, but I don't want to go 3 down. House repairs and updates. That will work. Awesome. All right, so I don't want to start out with nothing here. And honestly, like, there is so much that I can do. Like, I don't even know where to start. Honestly, there's so much that I want to get done around here. It's just kind of like, what order do I want to do things? How much does it cost? I would like new windows. I would like to change out the flooring in the whole house, all the way up to some big ticket items like possibly moving the washer and dryer. And I live on a slab, so my dad has said that will not be very easy to do. These are just things that I have been thinking about and things that I would like to do. So of course, that's going to be a lot, just depending on what I want to do. So to fully fund this, oh my gosh, you guys, this has been a journey. So my computer is like running out of space and memory, even though I'm using an external hard drive. Then I heard like this weird sound. Don't know if it was inside, outside, or what. And my dog's starting to freak out. Oh my gosh. So I hope that we're safe. I'm just like starting to freak out because it's the first time I've ever heard a really strange noise, like something, like it was a big thud. And I don't know where it was, where it came from. If you see this, I should be safe. So anyway, let's continue on. Okay, so I think I was on house repairs and updates. I was trying to decide how much would be fully funded. I don't really have a number because I mean, you can always continue to do new things, but I think I'm just going to say like $10,000 would be a good amount. So I'm just going to put that there like that and say $10,000 and hope for the best. I do want to move this, however, kind of like to have everything kind of like in order of importance, essentially, I guess. I don't know if it's order of importance. It's just kind of the way my brain thinks. I don't want to start with zero. I have some extra money still that I can put in here for some house repairs and updates. And so I'm going to try to quickly figure out exactly how much I have to put towards this. Right now, as it stands, I have $2,378.53 in my sinking funds account. However, I have readjusted some things and now actually have less. I think for right now, I can put about $3,000 in there just to start with. As far as how much I want to contribute monthly, that would be, I'm going to say $50 a month for updates and repairs. I can always adjust that in the future if it's too much, but what that does is it actually takes me back to $250 because I had lowered some other things. That takes me right back to $250, which is what I was contributing to my sinking funds anyway. So I don't have to change that. That's an automatic deposit from one bank account to the other. Now I just need to get a second automatic deposit from the checking to the savings, because I have it to go from the checking to the checking, but then I needed to go from the checking to the savings because I missed out on putting a lot of extra money in this sinking fund over the last few months because I just kind of let it accrue in that other checking account rather than adding it to my sinking funds properly. So I think I can start out with $3,000 in there, add $50 a month for household updates and repairs. I don't want to spend a whole lot on this right away. There's not really anything huge that I want to do, but there are some small things. For instance, I just discovered that the screen door on my back door does not lock. Now, the deadbolt works really well, and then the door handle on the actual door, those work really well. I know that the front door locks, the screen door does, but the back door doesn't, and I did not know that. And now that I'm hearing thumps and bumps for the first time in like 2 weeks since I've been here, yeah, I want to make sure that works. So little repairs like that. The closet doors, I would like those to get repaired. Some little things, I can use that $3,000 for some of the little things around the house. So that means that I will need a grand total assuming that money has already been put for the month of December into my my sinking fund account. I need a total of $5,300 in my sinking funds account. One last thing, I did not explain this extra change thing. I have that in there for if I spent like $5.78. Well, what I will do is I will round that up, not just to the nearest dollar, but like to the nearest $5, $10, or even $25. It just keeps things like neat and even. I may take that out because I really haven't been using it that much. Really what I do is I just readjust the funds and like put some more in there one month or somehow like take it from my actual budget. I think that's just me being a little extra, I guess. But what I need to do now is go to my savings account, or at least my sinking funds is all in one savings account, and then I have it listed out here in my spreadsheet as to what all of that money is allocated to. But what I need to do now is I think I have made sure that this incorporates everything. This total does not include my emergency fund because that is in a separate savings account and then 2 checking accounts. So that's completely separate. All of that from Progressive all the way down to extra change is in one account. And so I'm going to go to that bank account and I'm going to make that an even $5,300 so that I am ready to go for the month of December. And then in January, what I do is I take this amount right here. So if I spend, then it goes in here and then it minuses here. And then I'll take this column and I will move it over here and then take out what I've spent and it automatically readjusts how much is in there. Now, if I like move some money around. Sometimes I will do that. Then I will adjust it at the beginning of the month. Of course, as things change, then I can always change it in the future. There is a lot to be said for sinking funds. I can always add more. I can always take some out. I can always change the amount that I add to each one. So that is just kind of where I am at for now. If you have sinking funds, I would love to hear about what some of your favorite sinking funds are. So you can leave me a comment down below. And then also, if you are not already, go ahead and click that red subscribe button so that you can join this journey, see how I'm doing, see how I continue to pay off debt, even though I've bought a house, paying off my house, saving for updates and repairs on my house, and even making those updates and repairs. So join me on this journey. I would love to have you. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.